Say hi. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is soultribemama,
Hi.
or otherwise known as Jessica. And of course, he is gonna be all over the place. It is getting harder and harder to film these videos, y'all. I'm trying my best. All right, so today's video is gonna be about conversations that you should be having with your partner, your husband, your wife, before you go through labor and delivery. So I did a poll on my Instagram about a lot of different types of videos. One of them was talking about what is the role for dads in the labor and delivery and postpartum and then through pregnancy. But then as I started to think about it, I was like, you know what? I feel like this is an open conversation. So I want to go ahead and start with this video first, and then I will go into the other two videos, which will be what I think dads should not be doing in the labor and delivery and postpartum portion, and things that dads should be doing during labor and delivery, especially if you're doing it in a hospital. And this also goes for vaginal deliveries, because I have not had a C-section, so I wouldn't be able to really tell you anything about that. I think some of these apply to that, but at the same time, not technically, because I don't know everything about that. You guys need to have these open conversations and not just automatically as a woman who's pregnant. Hello. As a woman who's pregnant, think, well, he knows we're having a baby, he should feel this way or that way, or why doesn't he feel this way or that way, or shouldn't he know that this is how it's gonna be? Men can't read our minds, just like we can't read their minds, okay? First thing I do want to say is I want to say thank you to Dossier for sponsoring today's video. Before we get completely into this, Dossier is a company that sells designer-inspired perfumes. The one that I'm using today is inspired by Giorgio Armani's My Way, and it is called Fruity Neroli. It comes in this really, really simple and classic packaging. It smells amazing. So don't forget to check out Dossier perfumes. Their perfumes are all inspired by designer brands, but like a fraction of the price. $24. I think some of them have come up to like $69, depending on the types of perfumes or colognes that you're looking for. I actually ordered colognes for my husband and my kids, and they are in love with them as well. I have way too many of these. I have way too many of these perfumes and colognes, but I'm obsessed. They are amazing. They also do a guarantee. If you dislike it for any reason at all, no questions asked, you can send it back for a full refund, or you could exchange it for a different one if you want to. So definitely check them out. I have them linked down in the description box for you guys. And thank you, Dossier Perfumes, for sponsoring today's video. Okay, first of all, we are going to start with a disclaimer for this video. Again, these are all my opinion. This also is coming from my own experiences, me and my husband, and us having 4 children and being in the hospital having 4 babies vaginally. I have not had a C-section, so I cannot speak on those types of things and those types of situations, but I have had 4 babies and they have all been in the hospital. I've had different types of labor and deliveries and all of those kinds of things. But other than that, I just want to say that obviously this does not go for everyone. Some of these things on here, I still do think that this should be an open conversation with your partner, but at the same time, there are some things on here that you may be like, we don't need that, or that sounds dumb, and that's totally fine. It is okay with me. Again, y'all, if you didn't know already, my channel is all about motherhood, lifestyle. I'm starting to do a little bit more fashion, especially still even though I'm not pregnant right now, we're still doing fashion for baby bumps and postpartum, because technically I still am going through postpartum. My baby is over a year old. Like, my body is still changing and morphing. So we do all of those kinds of things. Pregnancy, breastfeeding, I mean, you name it, we pretty much do it all. We love to do like day in the life vlogs, routine vlogs, all of that kind of stuff. And I'm always down for suggestions in the comment section from you guys. I love getting suggestions and getting those videos out for y'all. But definitely make sure sure you give it a big thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new, because I would love to have you here, a part of our Soul Tribe Mama family. Number 1 is going to be, how does dad feel about being in the room? For me, y'all, my husband did say to me, do I have to be in the room? And I literally thought, are you joking? Yes, you have to be in the room with me. That's like a given. And that's what I thought in my mind. I was like, you and I did this together. I'm now pregnant and I've had to carry this baby for 9 months. You are going to be in that room with me as I go through this pain and do all of these things, and you are going to be right by my side whether you want to be there or not, because you get queasy or whatever it may be, or you're scared, because hello, I'm the one pushing the baby out. But I'm sure that he had his own reasons. But I do think that that was something that we needed to speak about, because had he not said anything and then just expected to not be in the room with me, like taken me to the hospital and then just sat outside the room, I probably would have been very upset with him. So I was upset with him when he told me that. I thought he was joking at first, and then he was actually being serious, and I was like, no, I think that you need to be in this room. Like, this is a 50-50. This is a 50-50 deal. We made this baby together. I've had to carry this baby for this long and gone through all this pain. You are gonna be there right next to me. And if I have to hold your hand until it breaks just to help me through this, you're gonna do it. So that was my point of view. I'm sure some other moms would probably agree with me, but then I'm sure there's also other couples out there that the mothers and the pregnant mamas are okay with their husband not being in the room. Some of them only want their mom in the room, or their dad, or whoever it is that you're closest to, and they're okay with the dad not being in the room until the baby is born. And that is totally fine. All I'm saying is I think that is a conversation that needs to be had before you get to that point. Okay, number 2 is going to be, if he gets weird, or I guess queasy, about blood or looking down there, what will be his role by your side? So if he is going to be in the room with you and he has already told you, and again, this is kind of going off of my own experience, because my husband does get, when it comes down to watching a baby being born, he's like, I don't want to see any of it, which I totally understood, because I felt the same way. Like, I didn't want a mirror, I didn't want to see it, none of that. I knew the baby had to come out. I know what's going on, I can feel it. I don't need to see it. And I totally understand that, and that's okay. But like I said, I wanted him in the room with me, whether it was standing next to me to the point where, you know, he's standing somewhere close enough to me to hold my hand, to hold my knee up, but he can't see anything, which is what he ended up doing. Or maybe if you have him be the one that, you know, holds up a camera and takes pictures from behind you, as long as, if you know that your husband wants to be in the room with you and you want him to be in the room with you, figuring out that part. Because I will say, just a little story time real quick. With our first child, my husband almost fainted right as I was pushing my child out, and if it weren't for his friend who was in the room with us standing behind him videotaping it, and he was standing, like, you know, behind my husband, like next to me, but kind of behind, so he didn't videotape anything from that front area, but just the whole experience. If he wasn't standing there, my husband probably would have fallen backwards and hit his head on the ground. And I remember the doctor even saying, like, look, if you do end up, you know, feeling queasy and faint, I'm just letting you know right now that you're our last priority. We are getting this baby out first, and then we will attend to you and get you off the floor. So if your husband is like that, make sure that you guys have that already planned. He knows where he's gonna stand or sit. If he does need to sit, they have chairs in the room. He can sit down. I've seen that before, where doctors have pulled a chair out for your husband to sit next to you, you know, hold your hand, rub your head, whatever it may be, so that he is there for the experience, but nothing crazy happens. Which, it sounds so crazy, because we are the ones giving birth. We are the ones going through all the pain. We are the ones going through all those things. But there are men out there that have weak stomachs and just can't deal, and it's okay, it's all right. Just have a plan. I'm so sorry if this video is like moving all over the place. This baby will not stop moving, and he keeps hitting the tripod. And it's like moving everywhere. So number 3 is going to be, does your husband want to cut the cord? My husband did not want to do that. He knew that from the get-go. The first thing he said to me was, I do not want to do that. It, again, queasy, you know, the texture of the cord and then the scissors, like all of that. He was like, I just can't do it. And I was totally fine with it. I didn't want to do it. I was fine with the doctor doing it or the nurse doing it. And of course, if you do, you know, like the delayed clamping, that's totally cool as well. But eventually somebody has to cut the cord. So if it is going to be your husband, that's great. But again, that's something that you need to talk about. So like, you know, when we were in the delivery room with my first baby, I do remember, you know, my doctor asking my husband like, okay, do you want to cut the cord? And he was just looked at her like, do I have to? And I said, no, he doesn't want to do it. And she was like, oh no, it's fine. I can do it. I can do it. With my daughter, my mom was in the room. And so she got to cut the cord, and that was really memorable and really cool. You know, it just depends on the person. It depends on the whole situation. But again, have that conversation with your partner. If they want to cut the cord, I mean, shoot, if you want to cut the cord, or if you can reach, or if you even want to do that, whatever it may be, just make sure that you have that already said so that your partner knows what's going on when that time comes, and you know what's going on when that time comes. All right, so number 4 is going to be, do you want pictures or videos taken while you are going through labor and delivery? And also on top of that, who is going to be taking those pictures or videos? I usually either had a friend in the room with us that took a video or took pictures. There are some hospitals do offer photographers that are there in the hospital that will take like newborn photos. They don't take actual photos of you giving birth. Our iPhones take great pictures and videos, but then of course me, as I am now vlogging, my last pregnancy or labor and delivery with Knox, I was able to vlog with my own camera. I had my husband set it up. I kind of like showed him where to put it and had him set it up because I knew that I didn't want him holding the camera. I wanted him next to me, so I wanted to be able to have it set up. I also hired my really, really good photographer friend to take professional photos of me giving birth to my daughter. So she was my 3rd child, and she is an amazing photographer, and she did a full photography session in the hospital while I was giving birth, you know, the minute baby came out, all the first time things. It was the sweetest. I love those photos so much. I wish I would have gotten them with Knox, but I couldn't because we were going through the pandemic at the time, and they only allowed my husband to be there. Nobody else could be there. Nobody else could visit, you know, any of that kind of stuff. So had that not happened, I probably would have had her come again and done that again because those photos were amazing. So I definitely recommend it. But I do also recommend bringing your own camera and being able to set it up somewhere, whether up on a table or on a tripod, and filming it yourself, or even hiring somebody that can film it. I don't know what the qualifications are at the moment at the hospital, since I'm not pregnant right now. I know a lot of things are being lifted since COVID and the pandemic, that I'm sure some hospitals are now okay with it again, with, you know, photographers and visitors and all of that kind of stuff. So it just depends on your hospital. You definitely need to ask them if you go for a tour, or when you go to register, you should ask then, you know, can I have a photographer? Can I have a videographer? Can I bring my own camera? Blah, blah, blah. And they will let you know the guidelines for the hospital, because I do know it depends on the hospital. Make sure that you have that planned ahead of time. And then of course, a little extra on the side. Make sure that you put that on your checklist when you are getting ready to leave for the hospital as your last minute items to grab. If you need to grab your, you know, your phone, your charger for your camera, your tripod, any of that kind of stuff, whatever it is that you're going to use, if you are the one that's going to do it, or if you're going to have your husband do it or your friend do it, make sure that you have that on your checklist so you don't forget it and you get those memories on there. He is in full toddler mode, y'all. He is not a baby anymore, and it is so sad. And he is a wild man. He is literally wild. Wild, wild. I thought I was gonna get a chill baby, finally. No, all my kids are. All right, y'all, so I think it's number 4 is going to be, who do you want to be in the room with you guys? So is it gonna be just you and your hubby, just very intimate, you and your hubby, your doula, your OB, the nurses, whatever it may be? Do you want to have family there, whether it's your sister, your brothers, cousin, aunts, uncles, grandparents, mom, dad, friends? I have a birth stories video where I talk about all 4 of my births and labor and deliveries. And in one of them, well, in a couple of them, I had a ton of people in the room with me, and I was totally fine with it. I really was like, whoever wants to stay can stay. I'm down. I don't care. You know, I'm like in the zone. I'm all about what's going on with me and my baby, and of course my husband being there. I had my mom, my sister, I had friends. We had everybody in there. Now with this one, before COVID and the pandemic and all of that really started is when I got pregnant. So we had already decided by then that we just wanted it to be the 2 of us, because we knew that this would be the last baby. And we were like, we really want it to just be very intimate, just me and him and our baby boy. And then COVID happened, and even if we wanted to, we couldn't have anybody come. So it kind of worked out just fine, because I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to tell my mom and my sister and everybody else, hey, we don't want you guys coming this time. Definitely make sure you figure out who you want to be in there, who you don't want to be in there. Maybe you want people to come, but not till afterwards. So definitely have that conversation. Number 6 is going to be, who is dad going to call first? Because as the mama, you are going to immediately have baby on you, doing skin to skin. If you're going to be breastfeeding, you're going to start breastfeeding. You are not going to be immediately on your phone taking pictures, calling people, texting people, all of that. And really, if dad doesn't want to do that right away either, that's totally fine. With my husband, he would take a picture of me and baby and then send it to all of our family members, because all of our family, except for a few of them that live here in Texas with us, but all the rest of them live in other states. So they were just, you know, chomping at the bit, waiting to hear any news. So he would send them a picture of like a little announcement picture to them saying, baby's here, this is his name, blah, blah, blah. But make sure that you know, or at least your hubby knows, who to call or who to text, or who do you want to tell first. I know now with social media, a lot of people like to do, you know, kind of either the gender reveal after having birth or the name reveal after having birth on social media. So, you know, knowing to tell your husband like, hey, please don't post this on social media yet, because I would love to do this, this, or this first. Will you just send it to a certain amount of family members, and then, you know, whatever, Tom, Dick, and Harry. You know what I mean? Like these 3 friends or something. And then I'll post some pictures later, or we'll post this. Take a little cute photo of baby with a little name tag and post it on our Instagram or whatever it may be. Or even if you do the old school way where you get, you know, the photos taken and you send them out almost like invitations, little cute invitations to announce the birth of your baby. Okay, so number 7 is going to be, what do you need from your partner? So as the mama who's pregnant, what are the things that you're gonna need? For example, I knew that I wanted Culver's or Chick-fil-A or whatever it was. Really, those were the 2 that were my favorites, and they were like next door to the hospital. I knew that right after I had my baby, that is what I wanted to eat. I knew that if we were on our way to the hospital, please stop and get me some food. And I will go into all of this other stuff if you haven't seen. I have talked about this in my previous videos, but I will talk about this more in some more upcoming videos. My baby boy is like going in and out of this door. So I'm sorry for the noise, but y'all, with kids, you can never find a place that does not have a noise unless you have somebody, your kids are all in school, a daycare, or somebody watching them. And today I have baby boy, and that's just what I gotta deal with. So But there's so many different things that you can talk about, things that you know, maybe you want music being played during your labor and delivery, like the minute y'all get into the room, and have your husband have that playlist ready so that he knows to play that playlist. There's so many different things like that that can happen that you guys can think about and talk about. I would even Google it. I'm sure that there's lists out there for it. Okay, number 8 is going to be, do you as the pregnant mama want to see what's going on down there? Do you want to be able to see what's going on? Because usually the nurse or the doctor, your OB, is going to say, hey, do you want a mirror? Do you want to see what's going on? I never wanted to see what was going on, but that was just my preference. There are a lot of women that love to watch that. The other thing is like the positions that you want to be in for labor and delivery. All of that kind of stuff. You need to be able to talk to your partner about that so that when you get there, they're not like out of the loop and have no idea what you're talking about when you say you want this or you want that. Number 9 kind of goes with number 8, and that is, do you want an epidural? If you do want an epidural, you are going to be telling your doctor, your OB, you know, whoever it is that you want that. If you go to the hospital, you'll be telling them like a million times. There's so many nurses that come in and ask that question. And I don't know if they do it just to make sure that you want it or just to make sure that they're giving the epidural to the correct person. I have no reason. I have no idea why they keep asking it a million times, but they do. Like I was saying, with the epidural, you want your husband to know that, especially if you're the kind that's like, I do not want an epidural. I know I've heard women say this before. They're like, I don't want one. Tell my husband, even if I ask for it, tell them I don't want one. And then they get in there, they're like, beg for one. So make sure that you tell your husband that. So if it's something like, hey, this is what I want for sure, make sure that it happens, because your husband is going to see you in pain. If it's not working right, you know, if certain things are happening, your husband is going to want to, you know, move into action and be like, what's going on? You know, can you do something for my wife? Can you do something for my partner? Like, she's in pain, she's having my baby, whatever it may be. But you definitely want to put all the cards out there, really. You want to make sure that not only does your husband know, but your doctor, your OB, your doula, like whoever it is that's going to be with you. The nurses are going to ask you. The other doctors that are there are going to ask you. When you go through triage, they're going to ask you. So if you do want an epidural, or if you don't want one, if you know for sure that's not what you want, you make sure to tell your significant other that. But again, something that you should talk about with your significant other, because they have to prepare too. If you decide not to have an epidural, that is a lot on your body as a woman. It's already a lot to have a baby, even with an epidural. You don't have one and you do all natural, your husband is gonna have to see you go through that pain. And that is a lot on them as well, on their mindset, on their health, like watching the woman that they love go through pain like that and having to be there for you. It's a lot for them too. So it does help them mentally prepare as well. Maybe, hopefully, maybe you could even add this in there too. Like if you do say like, hey, I don't want an epidural, I want to do this all natural, I've been doing research on it and this and that, maybe your husband or your partner will do the same and do research as well, so that they are prepared for what's going to come and what's going to happen. All right, so number 10 is, if you have multiple children like I do, and you're having your second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever it is, who is going to watch your other children? And if that's the case too, is your husband going to stay every single night in the hospital? Because I will say that it was actually kind of nice not to have him there every single night with my last baby. Just knowing that that was like my last couple nights to have just the two of us, peace and quiet. I mean, your baby's still getting up every 2 hours to feed and they're crying and all of that, but other than that, you know, nobody else but you and your baby, just to bond, was really, really nice. But make sure, again, have this conversation. If you have a lot of children, who's watching them? Since we did have so many, we had like 2 with one and 1 with one other family member, and only for like a day, because you never know. You could be there for 24 hours, you could be there for 3 days maximum, sometimes longer, in the hospital. And so if they can only watch a couple of your kids for one day, what's going to happen the next couple days? So that's one of the reasons why my husband went home to grab my older boys and then stayed home with them, get them to school, and then he would come back to the hospital and that kind of thing. But it was actually really nice for me, as you know, especially it being my last baby, be able to have that time with my baby, just me and him. And the nurses didn't really bother me very much because of that, because they obviously knew that we had had so many. But that definitely is something that you have to talk about before the time comes. Like when your water breaks, you can't be like, oh my gosh, we got to call people and this and that. You know, give those people a heads up, tell them what's going on, see who can do what. Okay, number 11 kind of goes with the whole like, how many people do you want in the hospital room when you're having your baby, but it's also going to be for visitors. Again, I don't know what the protocol is right now in the hospitals. When we had Knox, we couldn't have any visitors. I think they're now starting to do that. So if you can have visitors, do you want visitors, or do you want them to wait until you get home for them to see the baby? Do you care? You know, maybe your spouse does want somebody to come, a certain family member, grandparents, or somebody to come to the hospital, and maybe you don't. So that would be a conversation that you would need to have to figure out who is coming, who isn't coming, nobody's coming, or maybe we'll just have like a homecoming get together at the house where everybody can come and see the baby there. All of that needs to be talked about. All right, y'all, so I have no idea what number I'm on. I always get confused with the numbers because sometimes I jump around whenever I'm reading what I wrote down on my phone to try to keep track. And I think I kind of talked about this earlier, I'm not quite sure, but make sure that you plan for your first meal after baby. I loved the hospital food. Now I do live in Texas. We had our babies at Memorial Hermann, the Woodlands, and that hospital was amazing. The staff is amazing. The hospital was amazing. Labor and delivery, that whole unit is amazing. And I actually thought that their food was really, really good. So I loved eating their food. But my very first meal after having my baby, I loved getting Culver's or Chick-fil-A. With my last baby boy, if you saw my vlog, when I had Knox, then you saw that we had Chick-fil-A. So that was my one thing I wanted after I had him, my full meal, you know, after they give you the okay to be able to eat something. Once the epidural is starting to wear off and all the medications and the IVs and all of that. But definitely let your hubby know, hey, this is what I want, you know, I want a certain smoothie, or I want a certain place, or whatever, whether they Uber eat it, because now you can actually have your food sent to the hospital and they will either tell you when they're outside and your hubby can go downstairs and grab it, or they'll tell you, some places will let them come up to labor and delivery to like the front desk, and then they'll call for your room. Definitely can do it that way as well, but that is, I don't know why, but I feel like that's one of the perks of having a baby, is just that first meal that you get after all those hours of labor and delivery and going through all that work, and then that reward of the one meal that you have been craving to have for however long it's been that you've been in labor. It's amazing. So definitely make sure you tell your hubby ahead of time, this is what I'm gonna want. So if you need to leave, be ready that while they're getting, you know, while I'm doing skin to skin and breastfeeding and all of that, obviously he's not going to be able to be holding the baby at that time. He can leave if it's still possible at that hospital that you're at, for him to leave and come back and be able to go get that food for you. Okay, so the next one is going to be, what does your partner want to be a part of, and how does he want to help? Because that is another thing that I would say to keep an open mind with. Yes, it usually is all about baby and mama. Daddy does get put on the back burner for good reason. No offense to the daddies, but come on guys, like, we went through a lot. Whether it's a C-section, vaginal, epidural, no epidural, it doesn't matter how you gave birth to your baby. It is hard work. And then leading up to that, 9 months of carrying a baby and having to go through all of that and the things that you missed out on. I mean, it is literally one of the hardest things you will ever go through, your body will ever go through, you mentally, physically, emotionally, all of it. But at the same time, it's really hard for the daddy to feel like a daddy. Until that baby is in their arms, it's really hard for them to feel that way. So I know that there are a lot of men out there that want to help their wives and they want to help their partners, and they just don't know what to do. So have that open conversation with them. End the conversation with that, asking them, what do you want out of this? Is there something that you would love to help me with? Is there something that you want to know more about that I could maybe help you with, so that when that time comes, we can do it together as a family of 3, if this is your first baby, or 4, 5, 6, whatever it may be. There might be something that, if you've already had children, that there already is something that your husband loves to do for you. For example, every single one of my children, my husband has changed all of their first poopy and pee diapers. And it was amazing. And it's something so simple, but it really did help me a lot, because it gave me a minute to either eat my food or lay down and relax or go to the bathroom or take a shower or whatever it was. And he is not the best at those first poopy diapers, because they do come out as black tar and it grosses him out. But every single one of my children, I don't think I probably changed but like 2 diapers when I was in the hospital with all 4 of my kids. And that's one of the things that my husband did for me that I appreciate so much. And that's something that he actually wanted to do. And that I wouldn't say look forward to doing it, but you know what I mean? So definitely figure out what are the things that your husband or your partner wants to be a part of and wants to learn more about, so that they can be a part of it, and so that they can feel like that's their thing with you and with their new baby boy or new baby girl. I know a lot of men do the skin to skin as well, which is actually really great, but my husband didn't do a whole lot of that. I'm not saying it's good or bad either way, but there are a lot of men that do the skin to skin option with their new baby, and I think that is amazing. And you could definitely offer that to your husband or your partner as an option if they're not quite sure what they could do or how they could help. Just a really good bonding experience. Definitely, if you are planning on bottle feeding, you know, letting your husband being able to hold the baby, bottle feed the baby. My husband definitely, you know, once, or at least in Texas at the hospital that I was at, because I know, again, every hospital is different, every state, every country, everything is different in all of these different areas. But where I am at, the baby never left my room unless I asked them to take my baby to the nursery, where they could maybe try to get the baby to fall asleep so that I could get some sleep, which never happened, because I was always waking up thinking it was time to feed the baby and that they were going to bring the baby back. So I never sent my baby to the daycare or any of that. One of the things that you can do is being able to have baby in the room with you. You can sit, you can relax, you're getting your stomach pushed on, which really is not relaxing, but all of the things that they have to do to you while you're eating your meal, trying to relax. Your adrenaline is so high and it's starting to slowly come down, so you're starting to get tired. Seeing my husband hover over our child and watch every little moment, from him or her getting weighed and footprints, bathed. I mean, all the things that they had to do with my baby the first, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours of having him or her, and having my husband right there and him being able to be a part of that, like just hands-on, ready to do whatever the nurse needed him to do. I know that that was special for him, but it was also special for me as well. So always make sure you leave that line of communication open and talk about it. Mommy. Hi, baby. Just a minute, okay? I'm almost done, okay? Okay, so lastly, I just want to say, again, keep the conversation open. You want to make sure to make this whole thing memorable and intimate between you, your husband, your partner, and your baby. Just try to figure out all the things. Again, I probably didn't touch on every single thing that could possibly, you know, happen. I would definitely do some more YouTube search, some more Google search, and find out those areas that you guys should talk about. And again, like I said, talk about before you're in the car ready to go to labor and delivery. Like, you need to know all this stuff before you get there, and that way you guys are both on the same page. That way mama is calm and ready to go, because she knows that if she feels like anxiety's, you know, just taking over, and she's nervous and she's scared and all of these things, she knows that her husband or her partner has got it. He knows what she wants, she knows what he wants, and everything is going to be great. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If I missed anything, let me know down below in the comments. I think the comment area is a great area for other moms and even dads. Get your husband to watch this video with you. You guys talk about it together. You guys can get in the comments together and add in your own things that you think that you guys should talk about and that other couples should talk about when you're pregnant and getting ready for labor and delivery. I think that's a great way. Obviously, I am not the, you know, end all be all. I don't know anything and everything about all of these things I talk about. I try to say this in almost every video just because, yes, I have 4 children, but that still doesn't mean that I'm an expert. So I have probably missed some things, and if I have, let me know down below in the comments. Let other parents know down below in the comments so that we can all have a good conversation about it and learn more about it. And again, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up if you did, and make sure you subscribe if you're new. I would love to have you here, and I will see you guys on my next one. Bye.